Can you one more time, please?
Yes. This is just give me a second, John. I'm closing my door. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen again. Child screen. Is it visible now?
Not yet. Still loading.
It
Yeah,
should
now it's
be.
coming. Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, perfect. So we finished till ninth module. I was just checking the videos and I figured out that till the ninth module we have covered. Right? So in
Okay.
case you have anything like you want to go through them again, I think recordings are there. You can go through them again.
Okay, sure. I will do
Okay.
that. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So in 10th module, what we will be doing, designing an efficient and automated software development lifecycle. Like how we are going to actually design and develop the software. How we are going to deploy and everything. Like CI/CD will be there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be having different types of properties like environment properties, environment related properties, and application related properties. So we will be studying about that in this module. Okay,
Okay.
so first one is managing the property files for different environments. Let's say you have a dev environment, you have a production environment, you have a UAT environment, right? For each
Mm-hmm.
of the environments the host will be different, right?
Yep, yep.
So how we are going to separate these, like how we are going to identify. Okay, so we will be having different files for different environments. Okay, so that file is called property file, and property file will be having all your static values. I think you must be aware of property file if you're working in MuleSoft, right?
Yes, I did that.
So we have the property file, and these property files, if we are defining the very values in the runtime manager properties. Okay, so just a second. Let's say if you have any application here. Oh, I don't have any application yet. Okay, if you will be having any application here, and inside the property tab, okay, inside the property tab, let me give you an example so that you will be able to understand. Let's say if I want to deploy this, any branches. Just a second. Oh, 15870. See, I'm going to deploy in Sandbox. And actually, I'm not going to deploy. I'm just going to explain you. Okay. So in the main resources, we usually create one folder that is called properties. And inside that properties folder, we create the config files. One is related to the dev and one is related to the production and another one is related to the test. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then we are defining that these configuration properties needs to be picked how. So we will be creating this configuration here. Configuration. Oh, sorry, not configuration properties. My bad. Okay, so we will be defining that file here. Okay, that if it is dev, if it is then test file, then otherwise production file. Okay, and that also you can make dynamic. Let's say you are picking that value from the runtime manager, that the environment variable, and rather than that you have the path. Let's say it's like this: properties slash a config. This is your dev dot YAML, right? Let's say
Mhm.
this is the path, but you want to make this dynamic. Let's say you want this to be production for production environment. You want this to be uh, test for test environment. So what you can do, you can add it like this: mule dot env. Okay, so mule dot env here is a variable.
Mhm.
Sorry, and not a variable, my bad. So it is a property. Okay, so from where you are giving this property, you can give this property from here. Where's that? From here. Mhm. Why this is causing issues? Okay, you understood this now. Now I'm going to explain from where. From here, let's say from the properties, you can define mule dot env and the value will be dev or whatever you want. Okay,
Okay.
clear? So always remember that the values, the properties that you are defining in the runtime manager, that means here, whatever the values that you are defining, that will override the values that you are defining in the property file here. Okay?
I have question. Can you repeat
Yes.
this one? I have
Okay.
confusion. So,
Okay.
so this is
Okay.
when we are deploying, yeah?
Okay. And not just for deployment, it's like,
No, no,
let
no.
me
Now you
explain you.
are doing. Okay. So,
Let's say if I'm having a property folder, properties folder here, okay, and
okay.
inside that I'm having one file config dev dot yaml. Okay,
Mhm. Okay.
I'm tired of this Eclipse based.
Mhm.
It's very slow. Yep. So let's say if you are having three files here, config hyphen dev, config hyphen prod,
Okay.
config hyphen
Mhm.
test. Okay. So which property file you want to use? Because you want to deploy the same code in all the environments, right? You
Uh-huh.
don't want to create different code for test environment, for production environment, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Config dot sorry config prod dot yaml. So we have these three files. Okay,
Okay.
so if like whatever the properties, let's say if you are having database connection, okay, so like db and then db host. Okay, host will be there, let's say meg.com something something. Okay, and then port number will be there. Okay. My bad. So port number will be there. What's the port for database? I think 3036. Not that sure.
For MySQL.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is the data. Let's say this is there in your dev configuration file. Okay. But in production, you are going to connect with another database, right? So they will be having one mehek.prod.com. Okay. Similarly, in test, they will be having one mehek.test.com. Okay.
Mhm.
So you want to deploy the same code in dev also, in prod also, and in test also. How you are going to do? Okay, because in dev you want to connect with another host, but in prod you want to connect with another host, and in test you want to connect with another host. And
Mhm.
there will be other properties as well, like HTTP port and all. And let's say if you are connecting with Salesforce connection details, everything that is static will be residing inside your properties, this YAML
Correct.
file, right? So how you
Mhm.
are going to make this dynamic? So what you can do, you can just make this dynamic by going to this and create a configuration properties, and here you can make it dynamic by saying that properties. uh, what you can do, you can search it from here. Let's say I search for this dev, and this dev is dynamic. So what I can do, I can have another attribute somewhere, okay, and I can use that attribute value, right? So let's say my
Okay.
attribute name is mule.env. And to use
Mhm.
that attribute, to use something from the property file, how you use that, you have two ways. Either use this like dollar curly braces and inside that, or what you can do, p function, mule p
Okay.
function. You remember
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Perfect. So for now we are making it dynamic. So this is how we are going to do. So what we will do, so while deploying, what I am doing, I am providing in the runtime manager, I'm providing one value,
Okay.
mule.env is equal to dev. So it will get to know that dev file needs to be picked up. Okay. Other files
Mhm.
will be ignored in this case. Okay. If I
Okay.
say that it is prod, then this prod file will be picked up and other two will be ignored. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And let's say if I defined gb dot host john dot dev dot com. Okay, but here in my file it is mehek dot dev dot com, right?
Mhm. Yep.
The value is mehek dot dev dot com. But if I am providing for the same variable name, for the same attribute name, basically I'm providing another value here in the runtime
Yep.
manager. This will override that value. Now the database connection will be john.dev.com. So why we
Okay.
use these values? So that we don't need to do deployment again and again. You don't need to go to the studio to change the value and do this, right? You can just do change the values from here. You can add some properties and you can just override the existing properties. Correct?
Oh, got it. Got it.
Okay. Yep. So this is all about the properties. Okay. So there could be
Okay.
some connector level
How about
properties.
sorry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you go to the
Yeah.
Agent Studio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you go to the config, run? Go to the run next to project on the top,
Where?
next to project. Yeah. So yeah, run
Yes.
config, run config.
This one,
Ah,
yes.
that's no, no. Run config. Okay. No, no. Can you go one more time? Run. New. Okay. Can you open that? Okay. So where is this? I didn't see him. No, no, no. Okay. Mute. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's done.
These things.
Yes. So you define the environment. Can you go over there?
Mm-hmm. This one. Yep.
Yes. So sometimes we define here, yeah, for our
Yes.
environment.
Yes. So we define it here because we want to run the code in the local
And
environment as well. Here also, like here, if you want to run the code, it will give you error message because it will not be able to find mule.env because you haven't deployed it yet to the cloud hub, right? You want to use it in the local, you want to test it in a local. So how you are going to
mhm,
do that? So you need to define either the arguments, you can define it like a argument like minus mule.env, or you can define it here in the environment
mhm.
variables. Okay, that mule.env
Okay.
is equal to dev. That's it. So this is
Okay.
to run in the local on your machine basically. Okay,
Yeah.
but while
Okay.
deploying it to the cloud hub, you are going to give these properties in the runtime manager. Correct?
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So the properties, let's say, see what are the properties basically. There are some connector level properties, right? Connector level properties like you are providing the host name and port number for listener connector, right? So there
Mhm.
are different
Yep.
types of connectors which are having different types of values. Okay, different types of properties basically. Okay. Next is performance tuning properties. That means performance related properties like how many retry can be done. Okay. How many reconnection, what is the reconnection limit? Okay. So these are all related to your performance. So these are like performance tuning properties. Okay.
Okay.
So there are some other properties as well, like JMS message configuration. So for each connector or for each operation, there will be some properties. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. So mainly, it want to say that this want to say that there are two types of properties. Okay. One is your application level properties, and another one is your system level properties. Okay.
Okay.
So this application level properties are the properties that we are defining here in the property file. Okay, that is related to your project. This project is called your application basically. Okay, so
Mhm.
related to this application, if there is any property like the connection related stuff, or if let's say you are having one code and for which you are providing some static values, if you are defining those values inside these property files, so these are app related properties, application related properties. Okay.
Mhm.
Next one is system related properties. So if you are going to deploy this jar file, whatever you have created, okay, so what will be the configuration for Java? Like what are the system configuration basically? Okay, so these are your system level properties. So how you can edit those properties? So these system level properties you can edit mainly only in your standalone applications, right? Whenever you are deploying on a customer on premise system, okay, then you can do some changes in the system, right? So you can do some changes in the system level properties at that time. Okay,
Mhm.
other than that, if you are using any point studio and based on that, if you are using some JVM and all, and you want to define the properties, okay, so here also whatever you are defining, like in Windows, if I go here, okay, and let's say in Java or build path or something, anything. So whatever we are defining here, these are your system level properties. Okay,
Mhm.
this is application level properties, and whatever like the Java version you are using, whatever the whatever your Maven version is, these are your system level properties. So you can edit those properties from your wrapper.conf file. Okay, so whenever you will run any project, any basic project, if you will run, you will get one path here. Okay, that path will give you the direction towards your wrapper.conf file.
Mhm.
So where is that wrapper.conf file? So it will be here. Let me go to this again. So whenever you will open this Anypoint Studio folder, if you are having it in the C drive, you're using like Mac or this
Window.
Windows. Okay. So in
Yeah.
Windows, you have this Anypoint Studio, I think in C drive.
Yes.
Okay. So go to that folder. Okay. Inside that folder, go to the plugins.
Mhm.
Okay, inside the plugins, see for org.mule.server, this one,
Mhm.
org.mule.tooling.server.4.40, this one. Okay, so you can open this one. Have you opened this one?
Yeah, I've been open.
Okay, then go to the mule folder.
All right. Nice.
Then you need to
Give
go
me
to the conf folder.
stuck. Give me one.
Mhm.
Uh, mm, 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 mm.
Can we start now?
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay. So inside mule folder, you need to go inside the conf folder. Okay. Inside conf folder, you will see one file that is called wrapper.conf. This one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So wrapper.conf, you can open this file and then you will be able to see system level properties. So basically, these are the system properties. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
So now you are aware from where to see the application properties, from where to see the system properties. Correct?
Oh, yep.
Perfect. Let's move on. Okay, this is same. Now externalize mule application properties. So externalization basically happens only in on premise. Okay. You can do this on premise. So what
Okay.
you can do, customer on the customer hosted runtime, you can externalize it on the customer hosted. So let's say your own computer is the server. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
your computer is a server, and if you are deploying the code on this server, right? So what you can do, you can have property files somewhere else outside the project, right? In some folder you can have this property file, and you can just link that file. Y- you can see it here. See, you're just providing this file and the path, that's it. So you are externalizing this file. Why externalizing is good? So it is good because let's say if you want that your property file should not be touched by any other person, okay, so you can add some more securities to that particular folder, right? First thing is the
Mm-hmm.
security, and second thing is like, so externalizing, let's say if your project got corrupted, okay, but your properties will still be safe in this mode. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so this is how you can externalize your properties. And you can either use other systems as well. Let's say your file is there in your Azure Vault, okay, or somewhere else, so that also you can just provide the link of that server and you can pick those property files. So it's up to you if you want to externalize this property file, or if you want to keep this property file inside your project only. So which is this property file? This is application level property file. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next is which type of environments are supported. So whenever you create any new account in a platform, okay. So mainly you are given with design and sandbox, right?
Okay.
Right. Whenever you create a trial account in the platform, so you will give you will be given with two environments, that
Okay.
is design and
Mm-hmm.
sandbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you that as well. Not here, this one. So basically this is not my trial account, okay, so I have
Okay.
some other features as well for now. Okay, but see what MuleSoft provides: design, sandbox, and for customers they provide one production environment. Okay, so these three
Okay.
environments are supported by default, you can say. Okay,
I'm sorry.
so
The production is like, is that default production?
production is like, see,
Not
uh
okay.
no, see, we have three environments. First one is design. Design is like if you are just designing something, you are creating using the flow designer, right? So
Okay.
usually we use sandbox. Why we are using sandbox? Because dev, test, SIT, UAT, we usually deploys in the sandbox environment. Okay, and the
Okay.
third one is your production. You are using WhatsApp. You use WhatsApp, right? So WhatsApp
Yeah.
live, how this is working, this live thing, that the code is actually deployed on the production environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
First they did the testing in the sandbox environment, then only they moved it to the production environment, like that. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Got it.
next part is implementing CI/CD. So you are aware what is CI/CD?
Yes, I have. I know that.
Perfect. So what is CI/CD?
So there is like life cycle, which means we have integration,
Mm-hmm.
continuously integration in development. So
Mm-hmm.
automate we can use by Jenkins or any other third party. We can
Mm-hmm.
make automatic deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So starting from building, testing, and for the production environment. So which means like automation purpose.
Yeah. So if I say I just want continuous integration, what I mean by that?
So okay, whenever we are like creating new application or some code, maybe we can change some code. So
Mm-hmm.
in our application, so we don't need to go back, all the process. So automatically, like since this integration tool, and
Mm-hmm.
we can deploy and deliver to the source.
Mm, nope. You're telling me the definition for CI/CD. I just want what is CI. That's it. No CD. Let's say the customer doesn't want CD. They just want CI. So what is CI here?
So separately CI. So
Yes.
I thought like both should be related.
No.
No.
CI and CD both are different things. Okay. So we use it together, but CI and CD are different things. CI is continuous integration and CD is continuous delivery. Continuous integration means, let's say, if there are five developers in a team, okay, and
Hmm.
they want to work on a same code, how they are going to work? How they are continuously work on a same code? How these five developers will work? That is called
Hmm.
continuous integration. How we are doing that? We use version control system for that, right? We use some testing, munits and all, right, to do the testing. So this will come under your CI, that is continuous integration. That means multiple developers work together. They are continuous integrating whatever they are building. Understood?
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Now the term comes continuous delivery. So let's say you have integrated, you have just created the code, but now you want continuous delivery. Like you just created a code, you want to deploy it. So here you are doing some automation. Let's say whenever someone integrated the code, then do the deployment by itself. That will come under your continuous delivery. That means creating a release, okay, deploying the code continuously by testing and doing everything and then monitoring. Okay, there is one diagram. I think I can see that. Yep. Is it visible? Yes.
Yes. It looks
So
small, but yeah.
CI, yeah. So CI here is we are building the code basically. We are doing planning, we are coding, we are building it, and will be doing the testing. Then NCD it will creating a release, deploy it, and then monitor it. Okay. So the CD is continuous delivery, and this is continuous integration. Now you understood the difference between both?
Yes. Yes. I got it.
Perfect. So here we will be learning about continuous integration and continuous delivery. So we will be doing the automation. So in MuleSoft, what how we do that? Like we have some code. Let's say you are working on one code, I am also working on the same code, but we let's say in Java we have functions, right? So in code
Mhm.
also, let's say you have one XML, you are working on one XML file, I am working on another XML file on the same project. Okay, then we merged it, the changes, then we merged it in the source control system. Let's say the source control system is your GitHub for now. Okay, we have
Okay.
Bitbucket, we have GitHub, we have GitLab. So everything is there. Okay. So for now, for our project, let's say we are using GitHub. Okay. So we did this
Mm,
source control system, merging the code here. Then we will be having one automation tool, that is, let's say we are having Jenkins. So this is the like symbol for Jenkins, this old man, right? So
okay.
let's say Jenkins is here, which is triggering the pipeline. Okay, that means it will first run the test cases, and after running the test cases, if everything is correct, then it will deploy the code on your control plane. What is your control plane? Your actual
And
server, your cloud hub. Okay, so you will be deploying the code on your cloud hub. Clear?
mhm.
So this is the whole life cycle for your CI/CD. Okay.
Okay. So we are publishing to the artifact, yeah. So
Yeah, this one,
the repo.
artifact repository. Sometimes we do that. It is optional basically, but we do that because let's say if you will there will be any corruption or there will be any issue, so it will be first published into some repository. So in Cloud Hub 2.0, first everything will be deployed on your exchange. Okay, then only it will be
Uh-huh.
deployed to your Cloud Hub. Okay, so uh, in Cloud Hub 2.0, if you are working, if you deploy any application even from here also, it will be visible in your exchange as well. Okay,
Uh-huh.
because it will be first deployed in the exchange and then it will be deployed here.
So now in cloud, so we don't need like artifact repo, if like uh,
So for that,
not
this
artifact.
artifact repo will be your exchange.
Oh, so we can use instead of artifact repo, we can use exchange or cloud. Is that what you said?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
previously we are using like different kinds of like, artifacts like frog, for example. Now instead of this additional, the optional part, we can use
Mhm.
exchange, yeah, or
Yeah,
in the
we are
cloud.
not actually using exchange. It will be automatically used.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
okay,
So for CI/CD, we will be using Mule Maven plugin. Okay. And for testing, we will be using MUnit Maven plugin. Okay.
okay,
So as I said that your exchange is the central repository where you can
okay,
have raml fragments, where you can have templates, where you will be having some examples, some custom connectors, right? So
okay.
it will act like a central repository, but we cannot use exchange instead of your GitHub or another version control system. Okay.
Okay, okay.
See, it is written, it is not intended as a replacement for full version control system.
Mhm.
Using Maven with Mule 4 applications. So whenever we create any application, you are already aware that pom.xml is being created. Why this
Yeah.
pom.xml is created? Because here we are using the Maven. Okay. Whenever the term Maven comes, it will have one pom.xml.
Mhm.
Okay. So it supports Maven, Anypoint Studio includes Maven support. Okay. And Anypoint Studio generates and manages the POM file automatically where you are defining all your dependencies. Right. All the Mune projects are automatically Mavenized. Right. Whenever you just create the project, you will always see this pom.xml will be there. So it will always be Mavenized. The Maven plugin supports Mule domain and Mule application projects. Okay, so Mule domain projects, where we use Mule domain projects on customer hosted environment. You remember that? So the
Yes,
mule
yes.
domain
On
project will be having all your configuration related to the project like host name, port number and all. Right?
correct. Yes.
So how the Maven plugin support Mule application lifecycle. So now we will be seeing the lifecycle of Maven. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is compile. It will compile the Mule source code. So whenever you have a Java code, okay, so it will first be compiled, right? To see if there will be any error in the code. All the syntax and everything is correct or not, right? So compilation or you can say parsing will be done first. So that will be
Mm-hmm.
MVN compile. Next one is your test. What test will do? It will run all your M unit test cases. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is package. When testing is done, everything is correct, then you will create a package. That means you will be creating a jar file that you want to install, that you want to run. Okay.
Okay.
The next is install. Install will what it will do? It will install all the dependency and everything in your local repository. Okay. Then
Okay.
deploy. Now you are going to deploy the code, the package that you have created to your remote repository. Okay.
Okay.
So it will be same that deployment to cloud hub, standalone and all. And this is a walkthrough Maven, verify the Maven installation. So you need to do some Maven installation. You can do that. You can try it by yourself. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to take a snapshot for this one, you can take it.
So, okay. So currently it's embedded now, Marvin, yeah, for Mule after 4 point.
Yeah, yeah. Currently it is embedded. Like Maven is supported by your studio, but if you want to go with the Maven commands, right? Then what you
Okay.
can do, you can install the Maven by yourself as well. Okay. I will suggest go for 3.8.x series. Okay. Because there are some issues with 3.9 series. Okay. Not issues with the Maven, issues with the compatibility with Mule. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So let's see the commands, basic commands, mvn clean. What it will do, it will delete the target folder. I think I have shown this one. In one class, I have shown this one. Like, so whenever you create any project, okay, let me go in this project. Hmm. Okay, so inside this project you will see this target folder. Okay, so what
Mm-hmm.
clean will do, it will delete this target folder. That means it will delete everything related to the dependencies and the package that was created earlier. Okay, so this clean will do the delete the target. And then if we are going to do the compile, then it will first compile the code and then create this target folder which will be empty for now. Okay, then
Okay.
mvn package. Mvn package, what it will do, it will create the jar file inside the target folder. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
here you will be able to see the jar file.
Okay.
Next is mvn. Let's say in some cases you just don't want the dependencies to be added, right? Lightweight jar file. Then this command you can run. Here I'm defining lightweight package. Attach mule sources, lightweight package. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is mvn install. It will install the dependencies in the local. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have already seen that in the M2 folder, there is one repository folder, right? Have you
Yes.
seen the M2 folder?
Yep. Yep. I need.
Okay. So in M2 folder, there is one repository folder. So all the dependencies and everything will be downloaded in that particular folder. Okay. Next is if you want to see the dependency tree, then what you can do, mvn dependency tree. So it will give you the information about all the dependency tree structure in a tree structure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is MVN dependency builds class path. To get the information about the class paths.
Mm-hmm.
Next is MVN deploy. MVN deploy, this is mule deploy. Minus D is used for the variables. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yeah.
mule deploy. So it will deploy your code to the cloud hub. That's it. Okay, I can give you this thing, okay, in the chat so that you can try it by yourself as well after downloading the Maven. Okay.
Okay.
Again, I'm saying that go with 3.8.x. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, in the chat, yep, I added that in the chat.
Okay. Already. I'm copying.
Everything is in one line in the chat,
Mm.
right?
Okay. Yeah. It looks. I'm trying to.
Uh, okay, what I can do, I can add slash n for now so that you will be able to understand that slash n means next line.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. I again pasted this. Okay. Slash and you can replace it with next line.
Okay.
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 So
Cool.
automation is also possible by using some APIs. Okay. So this MuleSoft, this Anypoint platform, it is also a tool, right? It is also software, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this software will have its own APIs as well, correct?
Okay.
Like Salesforce have some APIs by which you can connect to the Salesforce. Like
Correct.
connector,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
APIs are like a connector here, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
should be something with the Anypoint platform also, with which you can connect with the API Anypoint platform, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
are some Anypoint platform APIs which are available online. You can see them. It's very easily
Yeah.
available. Next is, other than that APIs, we have a one CLI. Okay, CLI is used for automation purpose. Okay,
So,
Anypoint command line interface.
okay.
Behind the scene, as I told you earlier also, if you remember that behind the scene, the CLI uses APIs only. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
remember you asked me the question also regarding that how it is using APIs. So
Mm-hmm.
CLI behind the scene uses the Anypoint platform APIs only. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it is a tool basically with which you can perform some action, like you can do the deployment, you can have some information as well. So you can try to perform these commands. Again, I'm adding slash n for you. Okay. So here after username, write your username of your Anypoint platform.
Okay.
But for this, you need to download Anypoint CLI. This you will get online easily. Okay.
Okay.
Then you can try out these commands. These are used for automation purpose. So here also it is written that for CLI command line tool, it combines the REST APIs steps to easier to use. Okay, because if using the APIs, for using the APIs, what you will be doing first, you will use one API to get the username, then you will use another API to get the environment name, right? So you have to use different APIs in that case. So they created one CLI tool with which you can the steps are there, you can just go with that easily. Okay,
Okay.
so with the API you first need to get the access token, then only you can call the REST APIs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and organization ID, environment IDs are also needed in this case. From where to get the organization ID, so organization ID you can get it from here. Go to the access manager, go to the organization, and here you will find the organization ID, this one. Okay, let's go back. Yep. So this CLI tool is Node.js based, that's why we are using npm commands here. Okay, so it uses behind the scene, it uses anypoint platform APIs only. Okay, so
Node.js
command,
based.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
You say Node.js based. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, it is Node.js based. That means the language behind the scene is Node.js. That's why we use npm commands. So I gave you multiple commands in the chat, right? So
Yes. Yes.
for the installation, we are using npm,
Okay.
right? Okay. So the CLI commands simplify the common use cases. Okay. Authentication using username and password. So here, what you can do with the username and password, you can just authenticate. Okay. So if you will be using APIs, then you need to go with the auth 2.0, where you will first uh, try to get the access token, then only you will be able to use those APIs. But here only username and password is required.
Okay.
Okay, with the CLI you can check what all resources are there, what all organization are there, what all environments are there in the platform basically. Okay,
Okay.
so there are two types of mode here. First one is interactive mode, where you will be you will be getting some questions and you will be providing some answers. Like your involvement will be there. Another one will be your non-interactive mode. User create the script. Here the script will be written and it will be executed by itself. So that will be for automation. Okay. So let's
Okay.
say for the deployment task, you created one script here. Okay. So whenever there will be any deployment with the CLI, you guys are doing that deployment with those scripts. Clear?
Okay.
No one is going to ask you in the exam to write a script. But yeah,
Okay.
you
This
need to
part.
be aware. Yeah, but you need to be aware why it is used and how it is being used. Like behind the scenes, CLI is using APIs only, that any point platform APIs. That also you need to be aware of,
Okay.
right? So there is one walkthrough which says that you need to install this CLI. So for installation, I have provided you the command, that npm command is used for installation only. But before installing, you first need to install Node.js. Okay, then only it will work.
Okay.
Clear? So then you can explore the interactive mode. Interactive mode, that means it will be asking you about the questions, like selecting one, two, three, then you will be providing them the answers, like which environment you want to go, then you can say that design environment, like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Next is capabilities of any point platform APIs. Okay, so anypoint platform APIs can help help to orchestrate API based deployments and the management of the CI/CD automation. So basically, the platform APIs are used for CI/CD automations. Okay, and this to know about how many APIs are there, how many vCores are allocated to particular application, and how many users are there, that you can get using your all the metrics using the APIs. Okay, so APIs, these any one platform APIs are very much useful. So whatever there is on the platform, you can get from those APIs. Clear?
Okay.
So the summary is DevOps require a strategy to maintain the properties for different environments. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
if you want to build CI/CD also, then also you must be aware that for which environment you want to do this deployment, for which environment you are integrating the code, right? So
Uh-huh.
because your branching strategy in the version control system, like in your GitHub, will be like this only. First you will be deploying on a develop branch, then you will be going on a next branch, sorry, first feature branch, then develop branch, then only you will be go to the production branch, main branch, right?
Okay. Yep.
So that's why it is required to understand on which branch the code needs to be deployed, and on which property file need to be picked up. Okay. Next is munit prompts the test driven environment. So for CI/CD, there was one step as I mentioned, that ambient test, which will run all the test cases. Okay,
Okay.
munit test cases. Okay. Simplifying CI and CD pipelines is also the key for organization success, right? This is for success
Yep.
because it is doing the automation basically. MUnit helps the developers for unit test cases, unit test APIs throughout the SDLC. So whenever there will be any new feature that is getting integrated, that will be tested first before getting deployed, right? Okay. So now this part is done.
Okay.
Okay. So next module is 11th module, that is designing the transaction management in Mule applications. Okay, like why transactions are required and how the transactions are being used basically. Clear?
Okay.
In the end of this module, you should be able to identify why and when transactions are supported in the Mule applications. Identify the resources that participate in the transaction in the Mule applications. Okay. Demarcate the transaction boundaries in the Mule applications. Choose the transaction type and manage the transaction using the Saga pattern. So this is what we are going to cover in this module. Okay. So now first one is identify why and when transaction should be used. Okay. So there are some cases where we will never ever be able to accept the things if they get wrong, right? You go to bank, okay? You type your
Okay.
password and all to get some money, okay? So
Uh-huh.
if you get the money, then that amount that the amount will be deducted from your account, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So you as a customer and the bank as a seller cannot compromise on this case. Okay, so in case you are not getting the money, the deduction should not happen, right? And
Hmm.
if
Yes.
the deduction is if you are getting the money, then deduction should happen. So you are aware of those asset properties, it is written here as well. Yeah. So
Okay.
In this case, the transactions come into the picture. Okay, that means there should be one thread which is going to do these processes one by one. There should not be any parallel threads working on this. There will be only one thread doing step 1, getting your money, step 2, deducting from your account balance. Okay,
Okay.
to maintain the
So
consistency and atomicity. Yep, sorry.
acid like this. Can you explain for me like
Mhm.
more
Yes, yes.
properly? Yeah.
Okay, so now first you first need to understand the meaning of transaction. So whatever you are doing there in the banking, right, that that
Mm-hmm.
is called transaction. Everything is
Okay.
happening on one single thread. Okay, so
Okay.
uh, in case you are not getting the money, and by mistake your that amount got deducted from your account, then it should be again added, right? That means the
Okay. Yeah.
rollback should be done by itself, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So
Yes.
that is called transaction. Okay, so it will follow always, it will need to meet this asset guarantees. From A, it is atomicity. Okay, let me show you the meaning by this. Asset properties. Actually, this is a concept for database. Like consistency means, like if you are editing the address of one person in one table. Okay, so for that
Mm-hmm.
person, if the entry is there in another table also, the address should be updated by itself, so that the data will be consistent. Clear?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, just give me a second so that I will be explaining you by the diagram. Okay, so the first one is atomicity. Atomicity means either one or either zero. No different number should be there. Either done or either not done. Okay, it should
Okay.
not like interrupted in the middle. As I was giving you the example of banking. Okay,
Okay.
either you should get the money and money should be deducted from the account. Either nothing will happen. There
Okay.
is no
Okay.
case where only one thing is happening.
Okay.
Okay, so atomicity is the entire transactions place at once and doesn't happen or doesn't happen at all, either one
Mm-hmm.
or either zero. Okay, next is consistency. As I said, that data should be consistent. Like in the multiple tables, if you are having the data for particular customer, then if you are updating the address in one table, it should be updated in other tables also by itself.
Mm-hmm.
That is called consistency. Okay,
Okay.
next is isolation. Multiple transactions occur independently without interference. Okay, so if there are multiple transactions, if you are getting some money from bank ABC, okay, and if I am also getting some money from bank ABC, so these are different transactions. One transaction is going for you, one transaction is going for me. They should not interfere with each other. Okay.
Okay, I have one question. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
related or not. So, for example, if the bank has $100, so you try to get $100.
Hmm.
At the same time, I'm trying to get $100. So
Mm-hmm.
is that what you say? Like the first transaction should be implemented? Uh,
Uh, no, first transaction, not first transaction, all the transactions either happening from your account or either happening from my account should be independent from each other. Let's say if you are using mobile, okay, if your mobile is with your like parents, okay, and they are doing some transaction, like they are transferring some money to their own account. At the same time, you are in the bank and you are trying to transfer some money to someone else also. Okay, so these
Okay.
both are the different transactions. They should not
Oh,
interfere with each other. Okay.
oh, got it. Okay, okay.
Okay, next is durability. Durability means the changes of the successful transaction occur even if the system failure occur. No, 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 not like that. Changes of the successful transaction. No, it's not like that. Okay, durability is like the rollback thing that I was saying, the recovery manager, right? Let's say, as I was saying that let's say you typed that you want to get $1,000 in the bank, okay, and at the same time you got the message that $1,000 got deducted from your account,
Okay,
okay, but then you see that you are in the ATM, you haven't got any money, but it got
okay.
deducted from your account.
Mm-hmm.
It should not happen. It should be rollbacked in your account details also, that the money was not being
Mm-hmm.
uh, removed from the ATM. You haven't got the money. Okay.
Okay,
So it
okay.
should be rollbacked. So that will come under your durability. Then how you are
Yeah.
going to do this. So these are the asset properties.
Okay.
Okay. So there are some business transaction. Business transaction is more general, that comprises of potentially any kind of finite activity with the business meaning. Okay, so business transaction is like if you want to get the data, let's say if you want some data from database, okay, and in the another database you are writing the data, and same data you are writing in the Salesforce also.
Okay.
Okay, and let's say in the Salesforce it got failed, you were not able to enter the data, then you need to remove that data from the database also, from the first database. Okay,
Okay.
because everything was in one transaction, the data should be added in both the systems. Clear?
Okay.
Or let's say if you are adding 100 students data to one
Okay.
system, one database, okay, and you were able to add 55 students data, and after 55 for one student it got failed, then
Okay.
for all those 55 students also it should roll back, it should delete the data from the database. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
so this will come under your business transaction. Next is finance transaction. Financial transactions are always the sensitive transactions, right? So financial
Okay.
transactions, as I was giving you the example of banking, that will come under your financial transaction. It is to
Mm-hmm.
transfer of funds either in the short time or over the extended period of time.
Okay.
Okay. So how traditional two-phase commit protocols are applied to distribute the systems. Just a second, sorry. So uh, let me check my notes for this. Okay, so earlier this traditionally this one two-phase commit protocol was being used. Okay, which was having, as it is mentioned, two phase. That means two steps were there. First one is prepare. Second one is your commit. Okay, first it will prepare the data, then it will do the commit. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
transactions process through a through a prepare and a commit phase across all participants of two-phase commit transaction. The goal is guarantee all the separate operations complete all at once or none of them complete. Okay, and they all are rollbacked as I was giving you the example for students data, right?
Mm-hmm.
They maintain the asset properties for the transaction. Okay, they require heavyweight transaction manager. What is transaction manager services here? Like for the rollback services basically. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so global transactions are the transactions that involve multiple separate transaction resources such as databases. I will be explaining you the difference between local transaction and the global transaction. Okay, so transaction manager is used to automatically coordinate and roll up with the individual transaction for each resource. So now let me tell you what is the difference between local transaction and the global transaction. Okay, so if there is one resource, only one database is there, okay, then it is called local transaction. Not only database, let's say if you are having uh, Salesforce, okay, so only one system should be there, then it will be local transaction. But
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you are having two different databases, MySQLs are there, both are MySQL, but the host name, both the servers are different, then it will not be considered as a local transaction. Okay, so for local
Mm-hmm.
transaction, only one system should be there. For multiple systems, you will be having global transaction. Clear?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alternatives to two-phase commit protocol for distributed transactions. Okay, so large distributed transaction systems are available to improve two-phase commit protocols such as Google Spanner. Eventual consistency is often, these are the theoretical parts, sorry. You need to read it just.
Okay.
Eventual consistency is often used in large distributed systems, but this compromises the consistency goals of two-phase commit. Okay, two-phase commit always give you the consistency mainly because you are first preparing the data and then you are doing the commit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Saga. You need to be aware of Saga. So this is your homework. Read about the Saga pattern. Okay. So
Okay.
Saga are another alternative to global distributed transactions. Okay, it requires explicitly coding and managing compensating the transactions. Okay, so these are basically the alternatives for these two. Okay, two phase.
Mm-hmm.
uh, okay, yes. So this is not the important one. Okay, so you first need to be aware of, mm, this one is important. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
problems with two-phase commit. Okay, for now we are using, like traditionally we were using two-phase commit protocols. So what were the problems with that? It requires remote communication to each participating system because they first need to acknowledge, right? So it requires each participating system to support two-phase commit. Okay, it locks each participating system for the duration of the transaction. Next is communication protocol, growing ON with a number of nodes. Okay, same thing is written here. So the full form for CAP is consistency, atomicity, partition management. Okay, yep. So this is important. Transactions in Mule. So what all transactions are there? So single transaction, single resources, local transaction, as I mentioned. And if you're having multiple systems, two different databases are there, or your Salesforce is there, or any other system is there, then it will be your global transactions. Okay, now we will see what all connectors are supported to use the transaction, because not all the connectors support transaction. Okay,
Okay.
in
Oh,
transaction, as I
so sorry.
mentioned. Mhm.
You say Mule support both single and global, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay,
Mule support both single transaction and global transaction. Single transaction for one resource only, one system basically, and global transaction for multiple systems. Okay,
okay,
and
okay,
as I mentioned, for the transaction, everything will be executed on a single thread, right?
okay,
So let's say if you are having transactions, if you're using transaction and inside the transaction you are having this together, then it will
okay,
go one by one. Okay, it will not run in the parallel mode. Okay, because everything will be executed on a single thread. Okay,
okay.
XA transaction needs an XA capable transaction manager. Okay, XA means global transactions. So you need to remember that TX means local transaction, XA means global transaction. Okay,
Can you give
so
me
it will.
like global transaction one example?
Okay, so let's say if you are having one database from where you are adding the data, that database is your MySQL database. Okay, and
Okay,
after that you need to add the data to your another database also, that is Postgres database.
okay,
Okay, so here you can see there are two systems, two databases, two different databases are being used. So this will be the part of your global transaction. Okay,
uh,
let's
but I
say
have
if there is a
this.
school. Okay, if there is a school, let me give you a practical example. There is a school, and in school, for every student, okay, every student, they maintain some file for that. Okay, they are maintaining a file for each every student. There is a file, and then for every student you are putting the data in that file. Okay, other than that you are putting the data in the database also, for consistency purpose, where you are having some more data also. Okay, but the student data is there in both the places, correct?
Mhm. Okay,
So this will come under your global transaction. Let's say a new student comes and you are going to enter the details in the file, and you are going to enter the details in the database also. Okay, let's say you started with the file. While entering the data to the file, it got executed successfully. You were able to add the data inside the file. But when you are trying to enter the data inside the database, it got failed. Okay, then you have to delete the entry from the file also, because transaction means either one either zero. That means if either the data should be entered in both the system, or data should not be entered anywhere and it should give error. That's it. Okay,
okay.
so
So you
consistency should be
mean
maintained.
correct. So in my understanding, like if we have like different resource, you say global.
Hmm.
But for example,
Hmm.
if itself like different kinds of like database, which is like MySQL or Oracle. So we are putting the same data, different database. That's you are like it's supposed to
No, no,
be
no.
like.
For
Uh-huh.
local, there should be only one database, one file or one database only. That database, that host name and port should be one. Configuration should be one only. Let's say if the new student enters and there the data should not be entered in the file, let's say this time. Okay, so uh, the new student comes, you enter the details in the database. Okay, then
Okay.
you need to go to somewhere and get some extra details, and then again you need to add that details in another table of that same database, right? But this
Mhm.
got failed. then you need to roll back the first step also. Okay, so this is called transaction. Clear?
Um, I'm still confused because
Okay, okay,
uh,
let me explain with the my favorite tool, that is paint.
okay,
Okay, okay, so this is a student, let's say this new student entered in the school. Okay, and this is
okay,
database db.
okay,
Database host name is mk mkb. Okay, and
okay,
this one is the same database, and this is mkb, same database. Okay, but
okay,
here the table name, let's say uh, the student comes and you need to enter the details in the student table. This is student table,
okay,
and you did the insert operation.
okay,
Okay, now second step is, let's say the request connector is there, you need to go to some other system and all to get some data about the student. Let's say you are generating the student id, new id, random id, by
okay,
getting it from here. Okay, you got this
okay,
id, and now you have to add this to the table called students ids.
okay,
This is student table, this is student ids table.
okay,
Okay, now you entered this data, but this got failed.
okay,
Okay, but this everything is there inside the transaction, and
okay,
transaction means either one or either zero. Okay, if this got failed, then this should be rollbacked.
okay, you're right.
Okay, so this whole process, this transaction is called local transaction. Why local transaction? Same database is being used. Let's say if this is mkb database, okay, and this is john database,
Okay,
then this is not local because there are two systems now. I understand that this is MySQL and this is also MySQL, but the configuration is exactly different. Correct?
okay,
So
yeah,
this case is XA. That means global transaction. Multiple systems are involved. If you are
okay,
not able to add the data inside the system 2, then you need to delete the data from the system 1 also. Okay,
okay, yeah,
but if
yes,
you are having this inside the transaction, then it will all automatically managed. You don't need to add this thing to delete these things. Okay, it will be automatically deleted because you added this inside the transaction. You said that this is a transaction. Okay,
okay, okay,
so rollback will be done automatically. You don't need to write a code for that to delete this. If you don't add this inside transaction, what you have to do, you first do this and do this. If it got failed in the handling of failure, you need to add one more operation to delete the details from this table, right? But this
no,
is
no,
not required because you are having this inside the transaction. So transaction is another concept for the mule. Clear?
okay, yeah. So we have in the Anypoint Studio, there is a connector. We can use transaction manager, something.
Hmm.
So is that the same? Yeah. So
I will be
we
showing
can,
you like in which
yeah,
cases you can use the transaction and how it can be used.
yeah.
Okay, uh, just okay. So now see what all connectors support the transaction. Okay,
Okay.
so JMS connector supports JMS publish and JMS consume. Both support transaction. Okay.
Okay.
VM connector also, this publish and consume support transaction.
Okay.
Databases, all the operations support transactions. So next one is, and next is begin the transaction. So this is how you are going to use the which connectors support the transaction. Next
Okay.
case is how you are going to begin the transaction, how you are going to say now start, we are starting the transaction. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two ways. First one is the try scope, and second one is your event sources like database, JMS, and VM listeners. The event one, event source. Okay. So for
Okay.
database, it will be on new. Okay. So it will be like for JMS also, it will be a listener, and for VM also, it will be a listener. Now let me show you. Let's say if you are having a request connector and you are going to update some data by using this request connector, and this is also coming inside your try block, which is using transaction, then you need to remember that request connector doesn't support transaction. That means the data will not be rolled back. Clear?
Okay. So
Okay. So I just want to insert the data, and here I can have a try block. Inside this we are having this. Oh, see, in the try block you will always see this thing, transaction action and transaction type. That means it is supporting the transaction. Okay.
okay.
Transaction type will be either local or another one is XA, as I mentioned.
Okay.
Okay. And regarding the transaction action, like indifferent, always begin, and begin or join, this I will be explaining you, but like let me try to just give you the glimpse of this. Okay. So always begin, that means from here only the transaction will start, always.
Okay.
Okay. Next one
Okay.
is begin or join. That means if the transaction is already being happening before this, if we are having uh, another connector which supports the transaction start, let's say uh,
Jim. Okay. Vim.
Anya, right? As I told you, the source for this here, this one, this will support the transaction. Okay. So transaction, not this one, yeah, it's here. Okay. So let's say you are having this database, both the databases are same, then it will be local transaction, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And you are saying that always begin, that means you're always begin this transaction from here. Okay. And then you will go to do this action, and after that this action. Okay. Inside this you are saying that begin or join, that means if the transaction is already being happening, then join that transaction. If it
Okay.
is not happening, then create a new transaction, start from here only.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah. Clear.
Okay. Let's go back. So how we are going to begin the transaction, from the try scope or from the event source of database, JMS or VMS. Okay. Database,
Mhm.
I have given you the example as well. This one.
Okay.
Okay. From this one, you cannot start the. Okay. You will never ever get the option to start. Okay. See, always
Mhm.
join if possible or not supported. That's it. You will never get the option to begin the transaction. For beginning the transaction, either try scope or the event source for database, JMS or VM. Clear?
Can you, okay, begin transaction or hold on, transcribe transaction. Can you go back to this one more time for,
Mhm,
yeah, can you for the insert, can you open
mhm.
for transaction management for, yeah, can you open that
This
on top?
insert, yeah, this is insert only. See?
Okay. So
So
let
this,
me see the transaction. Yeah. How do you begin?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So for this one, for insert operation, you cannot start the transaction. You can be the part of the transaction, but you cannot start the transaction from here. Okay. For starting the transaction, you can either be try block, okay, or the event source. This one. Clear?
So you mean the event source means from
Event source
the
means
content?
on new or something like event driven, like on for the event driven for database or for JMS or for VM. Okay, let me say that JMS. Okay, so for another system, let's say on new message is there, right? This on new message can start the transaction. It will be able to begin the transaction. Okay, so let me here see, here always begin is the option. Clear?
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
I'm confused. Okay, can you up a little? Let me see the insert part. So, okay,
insert part can be the part of the transaction, but it cannot
we
start the
can.
transaction, the starting point.
Oh,
Okay.
why be? What's the reason? So I thought like we can start in the
No, 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 no. For beginning the transaction, there are three options, two options. Either go with the try block or either go with the event source for these three.
Okay, I mean,
That's it.
like, open the try block one more time. Let me see. Can you open it? Let me check. Yeah.
Okay. Here it says
Okay.
that
So
begin or
here we
try.
can, okay. If we are using
Yes.
Triscope, we can use all. Okay. Okay. That's why.
Yes.
I thought, like,
Yes.
I thought it's this one. So that's why. Yeah, yeah, we can use you. Got
Okay.
it now. Yes, yes. Yeah, now it's
So now it's clear. Okay. So now ending of the transaction. Okay, it is committed automatically at the end of the flow. Okay. So you don't need to mention that it is the end of the transaction. It will be at the end of the flow, the transaction will end by itself.
okay.
Okay. And inside the try block, let's say if you are having the transaction inside the try block only, then for that try block that will be considered as a transaction. Otherwise, outside that try block, this will not be the part of the transaction.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Next is on error scope. In on error continuous scope also, inside that you can have the transactions.
Okay.
uh, no, 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 no. Okay, it is for the end of the flow. Actually, you cannot have the transaction here. Okay, so if you are having on error continue, that means you need to just give the successful, right? Let's say if you're having this, uh, if you're not having try block here, right? Let me delete
Mm-hmm.
this. Here's the delete button. These days I'm using Mac and now I'm working on Windows. So it will be confused. Okay, so let's say you have this thing, and inside this you have on new. Sorry, not on new, on error continue basically here. Okay, so whenever there will be any error, let's say if there is an error in request connector, okay, that means you will not go ahead, but you will be giving the successful response, right? But the
Yeah.
transaction will end here only. That's what it is saying. Okay, so
So
how
we don't
it
have a
may
roll.
end? Yeah, sorry.
So no rollback. If
So rollback
any.
will be done only if, let's say, if it is here and then it got failed, uh, failed at the request connector, then only this will happen, this rollback. Okay,
Okay. If it's happened
because
after insert, now no rollback.
no, let's say your request connector will get failed. Okay, then it will
Okay.
see for on error continue, and it will give 200 response, but it will say that end of the flow. That means end of the transaction also, because you started the transaction from here. Yes, it will be rolled back.
Yes, that's why. Okay. Nice. Mm-hmm.
uh, okay.
If insert is after
I think
request,
no. I think the transaction will not be rolled back, because why should the transaction will be rolled back? Because the transaction, whatever that is there in the transaction, was successful. This was there in the transaction. This was successful. This was there in the transaction. It got successful. Everything was in the transaction was successful. This you need to
oh,
check. You need to do the hands on. Then only you will get to know.
yeah, okay. So let me ask you another.
You once try this, then tell me what happens. Okay.
So yeah, but I have one question. So I
Mm-hmm.
have if the insert is after request and if it is
Mm-hmm.
failed,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be rollback. Yeah.
What rollback? Here it is a source. How you, what you're going
No,
to
no,
roll
no.
back?
Like if request connector is failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It if request connector will be fails, then what is there to roll back? There is nothing to roll back, na? On new row, you are just picking up the data. You are just selecting the data. That's it.
Ah, okay. So we don't insert anything. Okay.
Yeah, here you are not doing insert. You are not doing anything, na? So it will not do the rollback.
Okay.
So
How about the
rollback is not
insert? Oh,
required basically.
okay. If failed in the insert, no, no.
If
After request, put after request,
okay, okay.
and
If
when
insert
some,
will get failed, then
yeah,
okay,
it's
this will
rollback.
be rollback. That's it, because here nothing is there to roll back now. Let's say if you're having multiple inserts, right? Let's say
Uh-huh.
you are having one insert here also, okay, and this insert will get failed, which was
Yes.
actually joining the transaction. Okay, then this thing will be rolled back. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, because like if you are inserting, for example, 10 file, 5 might
Mm-hmm.
be failed, so
Mm.
it's supposed to be rolled back. So,
Yes, then it will be
okay,
rolled back for sure.
okay, yep, yep, that's how I understand. Okay.
Okay, let's go back. Yep. Rollback transaction. After a failure occur in the transaction scope, but only if the error is not handled in the on error continue scope. Okay. So if you are having on error continue, then it will not be rollback. Either it should be propagate, or either there should not be any handling. Clear?
Okay. Okay. We
Because
don't
on
suppose
error
to use.
continue says it was a successful.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay, on error propagate, then the rollback will be done, or by throwing the error in the flow or in the try scope using the raise error. Okay,